Right, today this is recording for trees in some snow. You will need, it's just watercolour paper, watercolour paints. I did use a bit of white gouache on the trees just to give this kind of rounded effect and a little bit of snow. But literally it is a pure watercolour. You can go in with a little black pen if you want to add a little bit more detail. I think I did here with some trees and some grass here with my little black pen, but you can do it completely with watercolours if you want. I just can't resist adding little bits of extra medium into my paintings. Right, so to start, we need a grid. Working in landscape mode, and the grid, if you don't know already, is from the centre of the paper. You're going to go out to the right 14 dots 1 centimetre apart, back to centre, then out to the left 14 dots 1 centimetre apart, back to centre, down 10 dots 1 centimetre apart, back to centre, and then go up 10 dots 1 centimetre apart, and then back to centre. Okay, cool. So once you've got that on, we're going to plot out some coordinates. So the first part we're going to work on today is we're going to do this tree over this side, and we're going to actually literally plot all the landscape on this side, and then we're going to go over to the other side of the paper and plot the rest on it. And then we're going to paint all this in with our brushes once we get painting with it. So let's get plotting, and we're going to work our way from the top down. Seems to me the most logical way to do that. Right, so let's start. So you're going to go up 9 centimetres, and you're going to go out to the right 8.8 and do yourself a little marker, as you can see the screen there. And on that same line, 9 centimetre line, you're going to go across and you're going to highlight 10.7 as well. So you'll have 2 dots on the same line. Then slide your ruler down to the 7 centimetre marker. And you've got 2 to plot on here. So you're going to go out to the right 8.7 and highlight that, and carry along on that same 7 centimetre line and highlight 10.7 again. So that's your next 2. Slide your ruler down to the 5 centimetre marker here. And you've got 1 out to the right at 8.7, and then carry along again. And you're going to put another marker on at 10.8. Slide your ruler down to 3.8. Now we've got 2 to put on that line there. You go out to the right 8.6, and then carry on out to the right 10.6 and do yourself a marker on that one as well. Slide your ruler down to the 2 centimetre marker here, and you've got 2 to put on this one. So you're going to go out to the right 8.4 and do yourself a marker, and then carry along with your pencil. You're going to go along to 11.7 and do yourself a marker there. Then we've got this little one to put on. Just slide it up to the 2.3. So up 2.3 and out to the right 10.6, and pop yourself a little marker on there. And then you're going to slide your ruler down to the 9mm marker, and you're going to go out to the right 10.5 and do yourself a little marker there. Then we've got some to put on the grid line here. So you're going to go out to the right and highlight the 8 centimetre marker, and then carry along the grid line and highlight 10.4. Okay, so we're going to come down here. So you're going to slide your ruler down to the 2 centimetre marker now. So we're under the grid line here. 2 more to put on the same 2 centimetre line. We go out to the right to the 8 centimetre marker, and then carry along out to the right and highlight 10.4. Slide your ruler down to the 4 centimetre marker, and you're going to go out to the right 7.9, highlight that one, and then carry along out to the right and highlight 10.5. Slide your ruler down to 5.5. Just double check that. Yep. And then you're going to go out to the right 6.6. Then you're going to slide your ruler down slightly, 2 mils left down, so that's slide it down to 5.7, and you're going to go out to the right 11 centimeters and do yourself a marker. Ooh. So once you've got those sorted, we're going to join them up. You're going to plot your tree on. So I'm just going to highlight these with my orange pen so you can see. So these are the top markers up here. And the next two. I mean, your tree doesn't need to look exactly like mine, something similar. So you can, oh, we didn't put that little one on. This little one here. Let's just pop him on. So that one there, that little marker there, you're going to go up 4.9. And then you go out to the right 8.8. So just pop him on. Up 4.9, out to the right 8.8. That's that little set there. And we've got this one here. So these ones dead opposite each other. You can see this one here and that one there is dead opposite each other. And then we've got that little one up there that I gave you, so you know where to take the branch to. These two are on the grid line, which I gave you. And then these are all parallel as they come down. And then the two down here are one slightly higher than the other. And I'll give you the ends of the branches. And then you can bring the branch, it comes kind of through. So this bit here comes through and it just carries on through to the 5.5 centimeter marker, and just come to the grid line there, because we're just going to work on this side first. We've got a few little arrows there that we will cross over at the bottom there, but generally we're going to plot out that part of the tree. I'm just finding where to put the options there. Cool. So hopefully you pop that on and just do some branches. If you can see from the picture here, got the main branches that go out, which is this one here, is this one here. You can, and then I add some squiggly ones, which you can add on later. But these are the main branches that we're going to put on. That comes off there. And we're going to work on that one. Then this one here goes off. They're kind of the three. This one here, this one here, this one here. Oh, we've got a little one up here. And the kind of the four, and then you can just add with paint, as you can see here. Once we've just got it all on the paper, you can add that, finish that off properly. Cool. Okay, so the next part we're going to do is going to plot out some of the snow here. So we've got this undulations of snow going on, and then we're going to plot on the rest of the trees. So let's work from the top down. So slide your ruler down to 3.8 and go out to the right 3 centimeters and draw yourself a marker. And then come down the grid line. We've got 3 on here. So come down to 4.3 and highlight that one. You should already have 5.5 because we'll take that line across. And then come down, what we got on here? 8.3 and do yourself a little marker. So that's 4.3, 5.5 and 8.3. So they're on the grid line here. And we've got 3 on this line here by looks of it. So slide your ruler down to the 7.5 centimeter line. And we've got 1 out to the left here. So you're going to go out to the left 5.2, draw yourself a marker. And then you're going to go out to the right 3 centimeters, do yourself a marker, and 8 centimeters, and do yourself a marker. So that's 3 on that line. Then come down 8.5 centimeters, and you can go out to the left 5 millimeters and just do yourself a marker there. And then slide your ruler down. You might not quite get 10.5, depending on where your markers are on your paper. It doesn't matter. Just slide it down to the bottom of your paper and go out to the left 4.8 centimeters and do yourself a marker somewhere on the bottom of your page like that. Cool. And then we're going to pop those on. I'm going to give you that little marker there for the horizon line. I'm going to give you that little marker there for that line. But these are the markers that I've just given you. That one there's 5.5. This is the one. That's 8.3. And that's a funny little one there. So you can see those markers. Don't worry about these ones at the top here. Just work on those bottom ones to start with. You've got this one out here. Take it down to the one on the 4.3 I think we had here. And just draw yourself a nice little snow line. Goes behind the tree and then comes up. And then that's the tree line here. goes out, swings out to that marker I gave you out there, and then comes around to the other little marker that I gave you close, 5 mil off the line. Then you've got this one here at the bottom. Just take that all the way up, through that one there, through that one on the grid line, and then just create yourself a little undulating snow, as you can see on there. Doesn't have to look exactly like mine, just something similar. And then we're going to pop these other little lines on. So this is the horizon line here. So you're going to just drop down about 3 millimeters, and then just draw yourself a horizon line that goes past and behind the tree. Down here, it drops about a centimetre and then goes off. And then you're going to come down onto the horizon line again at the 2 centimetre marker, approximately, and then just draw yourself a little wiggly line for that part of the snow. So you're just drawing basically these bits on here, and this bit, and then this bit, and then this bit. You can see that bit that comes round, and this line that's going off over that side. So that's what we're doing. So this is your tree, it goes out to your tree. This is the tree that comes out, swings round, and that's the other bit. And then we've got these little lines here, and then the horizon line, as you can see here. That's what we've drawn on there. And we can change it, it doesn't matter. It's very fluid because it's a piece of scenery. Right, so you should have something like that over that side of your paper going on. Something similar. So we're just going to plot out the next tree. So we're going to plot out this big tree here, and then we'll plot on that little one, and then we'll get to work. So let's go from the top down, because we've got as again on parallel, we've got 2 on each line, so that makes that a little bit easier for us to plot this all out. So take your ruler, and this is all on the left hand side here. Slide it up to the 8 centimetre marker, and you've got 2 markers on this line. You're going to go out to the left 8.3, do yourself a marker, and then out to the left 8.7, and do yourself a marker. So 7 centimeters, sorry, on the 8 centimetre line, you're going to go out to the left 8.3, and you're going to go out to the left 7 centimetres. You slide your ruler down to the 6 centimetre marker. You've got 2 on this line again, the same, out to the left 8.3, and out to the left 7 centimetres. Slide your ruler down to the 4 centimetre marker, and you've got 2 on this line again. You're going to go out to the left 8.2, and out to the left 6.9. Do yourself 2 little markers. Slide it down to the 2 centimetre marker. You're going to go out to the left 8 centimetres, and out to the left 6.7. And do yourself 2 little markers, and come all the way down to the grid line here. And you're going to go on the grid line, you're going to highlight the 8 centimetre marker, and you're going to highlight 6.4, and do yourself 2 little markers there. Now we're going to go below the grid line now. So slide your ruler down to the 2 centimetre marker here. You're going to go out to the left 8 centimetres, do yourself a little marker, and out to the left 6.2, do yourself a little marker. And now we're just going to plot in a little bit of snow here. So let's have a look. You're going to come down, let's do this middle one here. So down 4.5. Oh, is that 4.5? That's not 4.5. That's 4.3. So down 4.3 and out to the left 7.8, and do yourself a marker. Come down 4.7, out to the left 11.2, do yourself a marker. And down 5.3 and out to the left 5.3, do yourself a marker. Then we've got one here that almost joins that curve. So it's down 6.3, and you're going to go out to the left 3.3. So you need it kind of just to join that line there. So wherever that is around there, just kind of plot that on. And we're going to put this tree on. So I'm just going to ignore all the numbers. I'm just going to highlight the orange dots for you so you can see where the main tree is. So these are the parallel numbers I've given you on all this. So you can kind of draw them up and create your tree within those parameters. And then those 3, 4 at the bottom there are just the curve of the snow. So you can just join those up, as you can see there. And I did plot some of the branches on, so let me just put this picture here so you can kind of see. So I've plotted that branch, or that branch, and this branch, that branch, and then this one here. So basically, from the grid line up, you can see where that that's where that branch starts. If you want to do it kind of how I have, and that's the other one on that line. I've just changed it, so around there. And then this one here goes off that one, and then you can have that one go off that one. Just kind of have a look and pop yours on as well. Right, okay, so we're going to now plot out this other tree in the background here and some of this undulating snow here, so we can pop that all on, and then put the bushes. So I'm basically ready to paint. Let's just plot those all out for you. Right, let's go from the, what should we do from the top? We've got two here. So it looks like we've got parallel lines again. So you can go up to the 9 centimeter marker here. Let's see if it's on the screen here. So slide your ruler up to the 9 centimeter marker, and you've got 2 on here, out to the left 5.7, and out to the left 5 centimeters, sorry. So on the 9 centimeter marker, out to the left 5.7, and out to the left 5 centimeters. Slide your ruler down to the 7 centimeter marker, and you're going to go out to the left 6.7, just a marker, and out to the left 6 centimeters, and plot yourself 2 little markers there. Then you're going to slide your ruler down to the, what we got, 3.2. I think that's 3.2, yeah. So slide your ruler down to 3.2. And depending on where you've got your line here, we're just going to get that tree because it goes behind it. So you're just going to have to judge it if it doesn't quite fit. I'm sure it will, though. So you're on the 3.2 line here, and you go out to the left 8.9, do yourself a marker, and out to the left 8.2, and do yourself a marker right next to the tree there. Slide it down to the 1 centimeter marker, and you're going to go out to the left 10 centimeters, and out to the left 9.3 centimeters. Now we're going to come below the grid line here. And you're going to come down to the 1 centimeter marker, and you're going to go out to the left 10.8, and out to the left 10 centimeters. There. Slide it down to the 3 centimeter marker here, out to the left, what we got, 11.7, and out to the left 10.9. And slide it down to 4.2. You do yourself a marker there, out to the left, sorry, 12.6, that might help. So down 4.2, out to the left 12.6, do yourself a little marker there. Now once you get your ruler, now we'll do these, oh no, let's carry on with these ones and then we'll finish off that one up there. So slide your ruler down to the 5 centimeter marker and out to the left 11 centimeters, do yourself a marker. Slide it down to 5.3 and out to the left 9.7, do yourself a marker. Slide it down to 5.8 and out to the left 13.7, it's right over here. Slide it down to 6.5 and out to the left 6.8. Then carry on down to, slide it down to 7.2, out to the left 9.7, and then slide down to 7.6, out to the left 9.5, then slide it all the way down to 8.7, and then go out to the left. I've got 14, but wherever you can get it on that little area there, just in the corner of the page, plop that on. And then slide your ruler up to 3.5 centimeters, and wherever your so slide it up to 3.5, and wherever your ruler hits that tree that you've drawn, just draw yourself a marker against that tree there. Right, there's lots of markers to plot on. Okay, So ignore all the ruins down here. I'm going to highlight the orange bits that I've just given you, so you can see approximately where to plot that thinner tree that's kind of at an angle onto your page. So, and then all these little tiny little markers down here that we want to join up the snow. So basically your tree, and these two top parallel lines come all the way down behind that other tree, all the way down to this marker here. And you'll see where it goes, because there's all these 1, 2, 3, 4 that go off here. And the same coming down and stop there. Draw yourself some undulating snow to that marker there. We've got these markers here. You can just join up that bottom one, comes round. We've got two little ones close together there and round to that one there. And you can join that one up there. You should already have the orange bits already plotted on your page from last time. So then we just need to add on the rest of it so it follows on to the other part of the page. So we've got these lines here that we kind of don't have on the page at the moment. So you're just going to join that up, and it's the snow. So basically it's this part. Let's see if I can get them on the same page on the screen so you can see. So these are the parts that you would have plotted on with your dots. Then this line here is this line here. This is this line here. So you're just going to put that behind the tree here. It's at 4.3 on your other. There'll be a stop on your page there. You just need to carry that on, which is this line here. And then we've got the bushes to put on. You should have a line that stops here with about 2 centimetre markers. Just carry that along the page. And then your horizon line, it can just be, don't run it too straight, higgly wiggly piggly. Like so. And then rub out all your grid lines, because you no longer need those. I'm going to work on something, mine's going to be a bit like that. It's just in pencil, and then I'm going to paint everything on as I go with that. So you need to get to this stage. There are some kind of houses that I plotted on in the original here somewhere. You can just do 2 little roofs, or not put them on, it's up to you. They kind of just disappear off. We're just going to pop those on. Okay, so let me just clear everything away and get that ready to paint. Right, so colours are quite muted. I've got a bit of purple going on in here. Sky, ultramarine, cobalt blue, something like that, whatever you choose to do. And then we've got a bit of Payne's grey mixed with the Windsor red or Caviar red to get the kind of grey purpley colour going on with this line here. This is blue. This is a bit of Payne's grey with, obviously we've got burnt umbers and any kind of like burnt sienna, different kinds of browns, not just one brown. So we'll go in one side with a burnt sienna, you can see that rusty colour, and then the darker side will be a bit burnt umber, a bit of indigo. I've got a bit of purple in my snow down here. I think it looks quite nice. I'll just drop that in. I've obviously got like the reflections of the water of the tree. I'll pop that in. So they're quite muted colours. So we're just going to pop in the sky, get that going. So that is, I'm going to use actually probably ultramarine. And then I just work with my normal 3 brushes I quite like, the 12, the 6, and the nice like fine script brush to play with sorting the trees out in a little bit. But feel free to choose whichever brushes you are happy to work with. I like to work upside down. I'm just going to wet, clean brush might help. I'm going to wet this area here. I'm going to go all the way over trees, because you can use a bit of kitchen towel to take it off if you need to. Or the trees are quite dark, so we can just paint over them. Keep that line there. And work up. This is my horizon line. And I'm going to add in a bit of tree line once that's a bit down. So you can see that's quite a lot of water on mine. So I'm just going to wait for that to kind of sink in a little bit. There we go. You can see that's quite heavy with water at the moment. You can actually possibly even see it run a bit. So just wait a bit. Let's just get my ultramarine. I think it's, yeah, looks like it. This one going. Yeah, marine. So back up that way. Just going to get some colour going on. Page. It's quite watery. See, it's quite fluid. Let the water do the work for you. Or you can add clouds in if you want. Remember with the tissue paper, I can do that. I didn't do that on the original, but I can pop that on this one. This is still quite wet. Just ultramarine's quite grainy, and it'll sit if you've got textured paper. It will just sit in the little. You can see here this sort of effect going on, which is actually quite nice. I'm going to use my little palette. That's always handy to use with colours. I'm going to drop in. I'm going to get my Payne's grey mixed up with a bit of red. I can start that. Almost like a purpley. It makes it like a purpley grey. It's quite sweet. And I'm going to drop that in while it's still wet, the skyline. And I'm just dropping it. If you can see, I'm not painting it. Avoid the tree if you can. Just pop that in. I haven't used indigo. A lot of you don't have indigo. Well, some of you do actually, but let's do Payne's grey for a change. I think I used indigo in the original, but I like to mix it up a little bit. So the Windsor red just takes off some of that harshness of the grey. You know, just blob it on, just overthink it. Let the paper do the work for you. You start brushing it on, you lose that kind of faded skyline, which is what we're after. You can just drop in little extra bits wherever you want. You can paint over it, and then if you've got your blue of your trees, you can just get your kitchen towel, hold it quite tight, fold it even, get some of that paint off the trees over here as well. Let's just take it off the sky, just be very careful. I'm painting over it anyway, so it's no big deal, but you can just use your kitchen towel to get, and if you lose any lines, you can use this to get a nice straight line. You can always lay that down and it cleans it for you, like so. So just let that kind of do its work at the moment. And a little bit more, mix a bit more Payne's grey and red. Just add in a little bit more over the top. That two-tone. Feel like there's a bit of distance. Don't forget, it always dries lighter. You can always take it off if you don't like it. So I don't paint it, I just blob it and I let the water do all the work for me. That's the key. Okay, cool. Well, that's quite happy. That's kind of just seeping in and it's just going with the water. If you want to make it go more, you just tip it. It will go. Water will just follow. You can see how they're still quite damp. So temperature of room is quite important when you're doing watercolours. So don't worry about that. We're going to paint over that with brown paint anyway. So don't overly worry about any of that. Now we're going to kind of start to build up the layers. So we've just kind of done this background here. So I'm just going to put this line in, but I need to kind of put a bit of blue snow on that before I build this all up. And I might have to use my hairdryer along the way. But at the moment, actually, let's do that. So let's dry that off, everybody, and I'll be back to you when you've dried that off. Right, cool. So let's just put in a bit of ultramarine over these parts here. So I'm just going to take it down here. So I'm just going to use, we want this bit blue. So these are kind of, just turn the page up this way. Right, so I want that blue and I want it faded it out. You can go across the tree, so don't worry about it too much. I'm just going to pull it out with a little bit of water to the horizon line. And then the same with the next line here. It's a bit dark. There you go. You'll see what I'm doing in a second. I'll turn it up the other way. You can see where I'm going with this. And just clean your brush and then just pull that out. I'll turn it around. That kind of gives you the shadows of where the snow is kind of hanging about there. And this one here is white. This is damp, so we're just going to work on. So I've just popped a bit of blue there, a bit of blue here, and I'm going to work on this line here, which is like a purple. We're going to kind of do purpley greys, so Payne's grey with a bit of red. Gives you kind of purpley colour. I'm actually going to give this kind of maroony colour going here, but I've got purple in my palette. I'm actually going to use it. Which purple is it? So just this purple. Okay. So I'm going to mix a bit of purple here, and I'm going to pull a bit of Payne's grey into it. So I've got like a purpley grey going on. And this is where I'm going to create the hedgerow while it's still damp. I'm going to pop that in very carefully with my brush. Then I'm going to use my smaller brush once I've got a load of paint on there to create the shape of the bushes. So we're going to get some paint on there. And then you can start to pull up. So this little script brush I've got, I can start to add in the little hedgerows and pull it up. Like so. It's just easier to use a bigger brush to get it on with, but I mean, if you want to pop it on with a smaller brush all the way, that's absolutely fine as well. I'll just get a bit impatient. Like to get it on there, get my paint working. You're just trying to create kind of this kind of hedgerow in the background. So you can do different variations of your purples, the greys or browns. It's really up to you what you want. I just think snow looks quite nice in a purpley colour, but it's really down to personal choice. You don't have to follow my stuff religiously, but that's the colours. So Payne's grey, Windsor red, a red of some sort, and I added a purple. I think it's diaxamoni or something purple. It doesn't say, it just says purple on there. I'm just going to work your little hedgerow. Don't forget, it always dries a lot lighter. Then we've got some telegraph poles that will pop in as well. I'm just going to kind of roughly use that edge there. I've got these little houses. I'll draw those in a minute with a bit of indigo as we build up that background. So that goes all the way across and just goes off this page here. There's loads of paint. I'm just going to kind of go in with a smaller brush in a minute. I'm just going to get some on there. And then we're just going to start to create different sort of heights in the hedgerow. You can add a bit of brown in there if you want. It's up to you. I think I'm going to put a few telegraph poles as well on that kind of hedgerow look going on. This little script brush is really quite nice, size 1. But I mean, I have bigger brushes. Obviously, will carry more paint. That's where your tree is. I'm just going to put in a couple of telegraph poles and put a bit of brown will go in. Browny purple, because that's what I've got on my brush with the Payne's grey. Let's pop one out there. And then one there. So, and we'll do a little bit of indigo, and I'm going to paint some of those houses on. So I'm just using my palette all the time here, all these sort of snowy colours. But you can kind of, if you've got it on a palette, you can actually let them hit each other, as in if you want to take a bit of grey and stuff, and have, so they kind of blend in with each other. I'm just going to go over this a bit more. Horizon colours on here, or some of that paint on a couple of the barns. A bit of indigo and stuff. You can use your number 6 if you prefer. You just try and create this kind of landscape with all these muted colours. That's all. Then we've got this couple of little trees which I didn't draw in, which we'll need to draw in, hand draw them in. Now you can use your pencil to kind of plot them, or you can just go straight in, and they're just burnt umber, some kind of greys, burnt sienna. And you can just plot them in. They're about here. A couple of them. I think that's quite dry yet, but I'll chance it, but make sure yours is dry. And just draw in. You can put it in with pencil if you are worried, or you can just go straight in with your paint brush and draw them in. It's really your personal choice with how confident you're feeling about doing your trees. I know some of you aren't. Then use your pencil to pop it in and then draw it. Paint it afterwards. And just pop a couple little. Just remember they're like little balls of branches. We've done those before. We've drawn balls, globes, and then painted off the trees. That's all they are. A skeleton in the winter. And there's another one here, little one here. I'll put in the background. I'm just going to draw it in with my brush. You can use all your colours here. You've got indigos and browns and greys. They're quite faded in the background here. They're just kind of there. Don't overthink them. Just draw them in the brush, like so. Build these up. Let's get down that way. I'll go with it. I'd let probably your hedgerow dry up a little bit more than I have. So I'm just using these colours I've already got on my palette to do these. They're the same colours. And you're just slowly but surely building up these little trees in the background here. What colours you've got in that palette. Like so. And they'll just sit there in the background. You can go back to them and add. I think in the original I made them a bit browner than that, but that's fine. I'll just use the colours that are on my palette in this one here. That's what I'm going to do at the moment. I'll leave those. I can add to those a little bit later if I want to. So let's get these trees going. So I'm going to work on which one should I work on? Let's work on that one there, that big one. So I'm going to go wet in wet. So I just think it gives a better effect. You can go green. You can go in dry and pull it out if you want. I just like the way the paper works, the randomness of it to start with, and then once it's dry, I shall go off and probably play around with the paper a bit drier. So just wet in the paper of this tree. And then I'm going to drop in some browns to start creating the colour. So I'm going to use my burnt umber. If you've got sepia, that works too. Just drop the darker colour in on this side, right close to the edge. you're going to start to create the tree shape with your brush. So just think where the darks and lights are. This paper should be dry, so it should create a nice crisp line. If it's not, you need to make sure it's dry before you do this. And then we've got the shadow under the branches here, remember, the light comes from the top. This is dark under here, so you can take your brown up and under and kind of just disappears off the page. And we're still going to take that up. We'll drop some indigo in there as well. But we don't want the whole thing indigo, so, or brown even. We're just going to take this one up. I'll create that in a minute. Put a hair on this. Yeah, you can see that the water's just starting to take it. You haven't got to panic about it or anything, just let it do that. And then we'll work on the other side. We'll do a bit of what colour should I? Oh, there is a hair. There you go. I'm going to use burnt sienna, burnt umber, those kinds of colour. Where's my burnt umber? I think that's light red, I think. And I don't want that colour. Must be this one. That's it. Burnt sienna. Burnt sienna. Yeah, burnt sienna is the colour I'm going to put on this side. Oh, like a rusty brown. Just going to drop that in. And then I'm going to work in. Don't use that light red. That's a bit orange, but hey, I'm not going to take it off. And then we're going to drop in colours as we go. So this is just damp. You can just keep working on it as you go. Just kind of build up the tree. They will meet each other eventually with their browns. We're trying to create that kind of branch trunk colour. So this is, I've got burnt umber on my brush again, as you can see. Burnt sienna and burnt umber together, give that darker colour on this side. And then we're going to drop in the indigo and burnt umber on this side to darken up this side. The darker side will be the burnt umber and indigo. And the darker colours on the other side of the trunk will be the burnt sienna with a bit burnt umber. So you're going to use those combinations of colours to create different. You can see this is starting to build up now. Under here is dark, so I'm just dropping in. I've got a bit of burnt umber, a bit of indigo on my brush, and just dropping it in because it's nice and damp still. It's just taking and just kind of flicking it so it creates the roundness of the trunk as it goes. And you can always use your smaller brush if you want. You can go to your little rigger or your script brush, and you can go in with your burnt umber, and you can come from this side. Burnt sienna and burnt umber, and start to create. That's probably a bit dark. A bit more light. The colours coming in, to just building up the trunk. So you're trying to go over those colours that that's not finished anywhere near finished yet. We're just building up. It's just damp, so you haven't got to over panic at the moment. So I'm using burnt sienna and some browns. I'm not going to go across the whole thing. I'm just trying to create that roundness of the trunk with the flicks of my brush. You can see like that. And we do it this way as well. So we're just trying to create that shape of the brush, the trunk with our brush by kind of flicking that round. Give that visual. Just let the water kind of do its thing at the moment. You can go in with a bit of a damp brush if you've got two stringy lines and get rid of them. But you can see you're trying to create that circle. How it feels like it's going round. I've got a bit of, there we go. So this is burnt sienna, burnt umber, kind of sporadically up the branch. This is a branch here, so I want that dark under there. This will be dark under there as that goes off. I'll be a bit lighter with the burnt sienna on top. That's just dried up branch, and you can just go in with a little brush, damp brush. You can combine the two and just build that up. Once you've got that all on there, slowly, slowly, no hurry. And then up here, a bit of burnt sienna, work the way up the tree. So be kind of flicking your brush to get that roundness feel to the trunk. See, the waterpaper kind of almost does it for you. You really don't have to do too much. If you just wait, it kind of seeps into the paper. You get this lovely rounded effect. And if it's not doing it, you just go in with a bit of a damp brush. Right here, my brush is quite damp now. I'll blend that in a little bit more. Here, I've got plenty of paint on my brush, so I'll just take that up, a bit of water, and then I can build up some colours under here, because it's going to be quite dark under here. Bit of burnt umber and indigo, and then under around there. You see, I'm just slowly building it up. Take your time and just work with the colours that I've given you. So there's dark on this side, burnt umber, indigos, and then you can start to add on little random branches. If you want thinner branches, you have to have not so much paint on your brush. Just let that flick out a little bit. I'm just going to start to create some branches coming off these. There's plenty of paint on my brush. You don't need much paint. This is where a lot of you go wrong. You put too much paint on your brush, so you don't get a nice point. Using too much of the paintbrush, you need to use less of the paintbrush, because these ones are made like this so you can hold a lot of paint on them, not so you can have thick lines. So I hold my brush quite high up, because I need the brush to do the work for me rather than me push really hard on my brush, and that's why I get too many. You get too thicker lines. So just when it goes off when the branch goes off a tree, it's dark under here like that. You just drop a little bit of shadow under that branch. It's still damp, so just let it work. You don't have to touch it at the moment. You can play with it if it doesn't quite go how you want it to go. And I'm just going to create these little branches using the tip of my brush. Just let the brush do your work for you. Just flick it. I'm holding it really quite lightly. And there's plenty of paint on that brush. Don't need to keep loading it up. Just remember, when it touches the tree, it's a little bit wider. And I'm going to take this one up. Can't let that fade off up here. Load up a little bit more paint. That dark under there. Add a few more branches off on this big branch here. So if you press hard, you get a thick line. Like you press, like you hold it really delicately, you'll get really thin lines. But if you press really hard with this brush, you'll get thick lines. So you need them thinner as you go onto the outside of the tree, and then you need to hold the brush really, really lightly to do that. Let's create a branch here. So I have one in my picture, but I didn't put one on here. So a bit of dark under here. Just going to draw it in with my brush. Ooh, a bit of goody piggly. We can sort that out. Just draw him on. Some few more branches. So you're just starting to build up the tree. So you're hardly kind of doing anything really. Just letting the waterpaper do the work for you. That's where a lot of students go wrong, is they just see that's still wet, so I can just still keep building up paint and just let that seep in. I want to make that look more rounded. You just flick your brush to create these kind of lines. We can do it that way, and it will do it. It will just sit there like that. You put a bit of grass on with the colours you're using underneath the tree here. You're going to use that line. I want that quite dark behind there. Then we've got different. So my paint's quite thick, so I need to water that down a little bit. If you're getting thick lines, it means your paint's thick on your brush. It needs to be quite delicate. We want to save some of the paper because the paper, watercolour paper, is the snow. So don't go and paint it all grey and stuff. We don't want that. That is your snow. So once you lose your snow, your watercolour paper, you've lost your snow. So we're just building up a bit of grass here. Different colours. I'm going to use this colour and I'm going to go in with, we've got this line here, which I will be adding a bit of snow as well as. We'll leave that for the minute because we're going to add a bit of snow on the front of that. Well, that just gives you an idea of the tree. So we'll leave him. He's okay at the moment. We'll play with him a little bit more if we need to. So I'm going to go on to the other trees. Same principle. Bit of water. And then the tree will just appear. Right, same thing again. We're going to have that side of the tree has to be consistent. That side of the tree is dark. We're going to use exactly the same colours. So your burnt umbers and your indigos on the right hand side of the tree, and your burnt siennas and your burnt umbers combinations of. So you should have a nice crisp line on the outside, and it should be quite, because it's watery on the inside, it will pull the paint eventually. Just leave it. And I don't paint it, kind of almost blob it on, as you can see here, like that. And then we'll add the branches on once we've got that all on. And then the burnt sienna the other side. Same thing. You can go with a bit of burnt umber. This burnt sienna, so this is a lighter, rusty kind of paint. So just get some paint down to start with, and then you can sort it all out, as in add in extra colours and tree branches and stuff once it's all, it's wet, so it's not going anywhere. Right, so let's just change my brush now. I'm going with I like painting with my little script brush. So with this side, I'm going to add a bit of indigo going on in here, and I'm just going to start to build up the trunk of my tree, make that a bit more crisp down here, because obviously that's snow. No, that's going to come off there. Start to think about the composition of the trunk. I've got no branches on it at the moment, so I'll need to draw those on. I'm not sure where they are. Let's put one about here. That one come up. Let's plot that out. With the two colours I use on this side, which is the indigo and the burnt umber. So you can see I'm flicking the brush, trying to create the shape of the trunk. I'll sort it all out in a bit. If you don't like it, it's not a problem. Let's put another branch on here. And another one on here. So indigo. So the dark, where they sit on the branch here before they head off. Out like that. And darker. And have that going off. So you go with your pen if you want. It's up to you with this. It's just a bit more water. We just starting to build that up. We've got this other tree coming behind us, so we don't need to worry about it too much. Just a bit there. So I had a bit of bent sienna on this side. Got a few little branches. Let's just take off there. I didn't draw any of mine on, so I'm actually going to have to just draw mine on in paint where I think they should go. There, there's another one. I'll have to paint that one. I'll paint those other two on in a minute because I need that branch, that trunk done first. So let's just get these on because they won't get interfered by that other tree. And then we can tidy that all up once we've got bits going on there. So let's start to build up this trunk here. Get that all nice. Good, it's going well. We just need to start to bring this paint together now on this trunk. Like so. Good. Oh, it's not damp enough. There we go. Yeah, that's good. Indigo. Too wet. Let's just get this paint mixing together. It's got a damp brush here now, so I'm just trying to make them all touch each other. So they sort of start to. The watercolour paper will just pull it in. And obviously you want to cover up any background stuff you've got going on. Okay, cool. So that tree, we'll just leave that tree. So you're going to create the shape of the trunk with your brush, like I said. So let's just pop on that back one. I'm just going to quickly dry this one, and then I'll come back, and then we can. Right, that tree's dry, so that means we can go in this with some water and get this one on here, dry that, and then basically we'll finish it off. Same principle again. We've got this side of the tree. This is the darker side, so that is your burnt umber and your indigo. You've got quite a small little trunk on this one. I'm going to use my really small brush. Drop in a bit of indigo. Brown. This one obviously sits behind it, so kind of create that effect as well. Up here. And then a bit of burnt sienna on the top where it's lighter. As before, same principle. All the trunks are done exactly the same. This one's just slightly thinner. I don't know if that's any easier. Just let that all blend. That kind of disappears off behind that tree. So let's disappear off the page there. And then you can just build up your shadows. Any conflict, just create a bit of darker on the front here. Same with the indigo, you start to create that. You can use your brush to create that roundness of the trunk. Now go in with a bit of water. Blend that in if you need to, as you need to. Like so, and you might find the trunk that's in front need to darken up as well once you've popped on the other bit. So I think that's pretty much done. I'm just going to dry that off because then I want these branches. Actually, I might be able to get away with it. Let's have a go. So these need branches. This one tree needs, behind tree needs this. Oh, wow. Okay, that's fine. That's quite cool. I'm just going to do some branches on this tree, as well as it's kind of almost, they're kind of faded. And then we've got this other tree as well that needs some branches that go across it, bring it all together. This branch across here. Okay, that's all right. You're just going to work on your branches up and down both those trees, create kind of a nice kind of sculpture of different shades of. So you can go with your burnt sienna, which is slightly lighter brown, and you can just start to create some branches on both trees. So some will be lighter, some will be darker, some will sit behind each other. But your little script brush is brilliant for that. And then if you want to add more colours to these little trees in the background, you can go in with a bit of your browns that you have already mixed, so you're not wasting paint. Just add a little bit of, to bring them together. Add a little bit of brown on there. Bring them out a little bit more. And add branches galore, basically. Just play around with your brush. Start to add those on. And you can go in with your pen if you want. This thing's brilliant because you just flick it really lightly. You have to hold it really lightly in your hand. Okay, that's enough of that. I'm good with that. So let's go in with let's go and put the reflection in, and then we can go do the purple snow, and we're actually almost done. So I'm just going to put in, this is wet and wet, and we're going to leave a little white line of water with the water. So we're not going to paint it basically with water, because whenever you do water, you always leave a little white line on the water's edge. You'll see this bit here, this little white line here. So I just don't paint that with water, ideally. I mean, if you do lose it, it's not a big deal, but if you can leave it, leave it. So I basically painted a load of water on there. You can probably see it like that. Then we're going to work horizontally across, and we've got those colours of the tree. So we're just going to plot those on here. We've got the rusty colour here. So trying to create a reflection of what is above. That's what we're after. I'm going to use my little script brush because it's a bit better for this. It's quite watery at the moment. You might need to let that dry a little bit. If you find it's quite watery, just wait. Let the water seep into the paper a little bit more. But we're trying to create that kind of like that going on. So we've got some indigos here, it's a bit of shade, shadow. Well, you can use your bigger brush you want, whatever you feel comfortable with at this part. You might find it's better with your bigger brush, but we're trying to keep those horizontal lines so we give that kind of water effect. That's what we're after. So that's kind of a bit of a shadow going on here. So and just remember it dries lighter than your, it's on the paper, it's a bit dark under there. You can add a bit of purple in there, a bit of snowy, bluey, purpley colour you've got. As well, it's just a reflection of what's around above. That's still quite wet. Payne's grey, the purple. Oh, it's quite strong. Just be careful your Payne's grey. It's quite a strong colour. You can add a bit of red in it. It makes it a bit more purple. I think that looks better. So just build that up. Should come to the front with some indigos, browns, just browns and indigos and colours. Darker that side. The shadow is that side. Don't forget, sun's kind of coming that way, so this bit will be dark. But I'm not going up. I'm going horizontal on all of it. So if I put paint on, I'm just flicking my brush horizontally to create these kind of water effects. Right, so just going to leave that, let that do that thing. I'll put a bit of gouache on there as well once we're done. So we're going to start to add in the snow now, which I'm going to use my purple with a little bit of indigo. Just take off the edge of the purple. So I've got like a purpley indigo, very watered down. So that's my mixture there, but I'm actually going to water that down here. Right, and go and pop that in my water's edge here. This is just on dry, and then I'm going to go in and pull it out. So you've got to kind of, we're trying to create the lumps of snow now. So just go in with a damp brush, and then pull that out with a bit of water. You can dry each section off if you want, if that helps you. I just want that a bit more purpley. There. The edge of the undulation of the snow. And then we've got a little bit here at the front here. It kind of just fades off. You just follow the picture. You can add more, take off. You can go back in and drop a bit more paint if it's not quite as dark as you want. And then we've got a little bit of snow here. But you can use, if you want to use Payne's grey, feel free. I find it's a bit grey, but what we don't want to do is lose a lot of the white paper, because the white paper is actually the snow. So if you want to go dry and dry, it's fine. I'm just going in with a bit of, I'm going in dry, and then I'm just pulling it out with a bit of water, whichever technique you prefer. You're working in quite a tight area. I'm just darkening up bits I want darkened up. Actually, I'm going to use my small little script brush now. Give a bit more detail. When it's damp, you don't have to paint. You just literally drop in colours and then just steer it with your brush where you want it to go. And if you're unsure, just dry it. Your hairdryer. You should all have a hairdryer there you're working with. You see, it's just following the water at the moment. Just let it do that. I want that darker behind there. I'm not sure if that's dry yet, so I'll just leave that. I'll leave a little white gap, like I always do. And the front bit's a little bit darker. And then this bit here, I want that a little bit darker. And we've got a tiny little bit of light snow here, which is very thin purple. Just going to put that, so it's going on dry paper, so I can control it. I just want that across there to fill in that area. So it's not too much going on. Let's just make that a little bit darker here. And then we're going to add in the grass. Let that dry. So the knack is just to keep a lot of the paper and not lose it, basically. Okay, just play around with this a little bit more. And Okay, I'm just going to dry that off, and then we can literally finish this off with all the little details. Let me just pause, and then I'll come back. Right, it's all nice and dry now. So literally going to start to add in the little bits of grass, all the little details, and then you just use your browns. And then I will go in with a pen as well, just to finish it off. But you don't have to if you don't want to, if that's your choice. And just choose those, those browns we'll be working with, the different kinds of bits of grass everywhere. Just poking out the snow behind the trees. Got a few here, got a few here. Then I went over with I'm going to go over with my pen. Where's my pen? So I actually went in with my pen and did quite a lot of my grass because it's quite detailed. And just following the undulations of the little snow mounds that we've got, so the grass kind of peeps out. And behind those, you can actually go in and add more detail with your branches if you want. With your pen, feel free to do that. It's not a problem. I like to do that. Sometimes you can highlight one tree in front of the other with a few little branches if you've lost a branch when you've been painting it. Just find it again. So just put the grass on like so. Just choose where you're going to put it. There, put some there. All the way out from that tree. There. Start to build up. You can kind of put some on the back trees here if you want to. If you've lost them, if you've lost anything in your picture, this is where you start to use your pen to put things back in if you want, or you go in with your brush. I'm going to just put some grass on over here. And you can even go in with your trunk. You can highlight this side. You can create textures by flicking your pen and creating that round effect. You can do it on the front as well, like so. You can see those little lines. You can go in and play around with it as much as you like. I added a bit of, I quite like adding a little bit of texture with my pen. I think it's actually makes a picture. But it's down to personal choice. If you want it more watercolours, then obviously don't use your pen so much. I do like to use my pen. I think it actually adds a little bit of texture. And I said you can add a few more branches if you want. Stay quite loose with it though, and you said you can create like the textures of the trunk with your pen also. Like so. Then we've got this one over here. Like that, and you can go. So use your pen if you want. All the way up that tree, this back tree, and you're using it to create shapes. There you go. You can use it to give the texture of the trunk, and we've done this before in our club. Feel free to play around with it like that. And then I did add a little bit of white gouache, and I just came straight out of the tube actually. So I wanted the, but feel free to mix it on the counter on your little palette. You can do as well. It's quite watery, and I added a little bit of texture on the trunks. It does dry dark, lighter. So just remember that when you're doing the gouache, just to kind of give simulation of almost like snow on the branches as they sat there. So, use all these mediums that you've got to create these pictures. If you haven't got this white gouache, gel pen works just as well. White gel pens, we've had those before as well. That works. I just like it if you've got your brush out, your script brush out, or your rigger. You can do that. You can do that on all the trees, little branches. So it will dry lighter. Just add a little bit of water with it. and kind of create the shapes. If you've got a little branch there, they've got a bit of snow on. Start to create that. A little bit there, like snow's falling on it. Like so. And you can play around with all that. You can go in and I did some lines, I think, on the water here. Let's do that a bit thicker. Need the darker bits to do that one, right here. Like so. It gives that water effect. The white lines, like so. Yeah, that's it really. So just play around. You can make yours more than mine and add more branches with your pens, play around with your gouache. If you've lost a bit of white snow, you've got your gouache to get that back. But there we go. Trees in winter, trees in the snow.